Ever feel like no one gets what you're saying? You're not alone. Miscommunication is a huge issue, with studies showing that 70% of mistakes in the workplace are due to poor communication. Imagine the impact on your personal life too. Not addressing this can lead to endless confusion and frustration. Understanding how to avoid misunderstandings is crucial for smoother interactions. By the end of this video, you will know the top 10 ways to ensure you're understood clearly. Let's start. 10. You choose silence. Ever feel like you're being misunderstood, even when you haven't said a word? Silence can be a powerful communicator, but it can also lead to misinterpretation and confusion. When you choose not to speak up or clarify your thoughts, others are left to fill in the blanks with their own assumptions and interpretations. Psychologically, silence can be interpreted in various ways, depending on the context and the observer's mindset. Some may view it as a sign of respect or contemplation, while others may perceive it as aloofness or disinterest. If you find yourself choosing silence in situations where clarity is needed, consider speaking up and expressing your thoughts openly and honestly. Practice clear and assertive communication techniques to ensure that your message is understood. 9. You withdraw easily. Withdrawing from social interactions can stem from various factors, including introversion, social anxiety, or simply feeling overwhelmed. You might withdraw because you're uncomfortable with small talk, afraid of saying the wrong thing, or simply prefer solitude over socializing. But you know how humans are inherently social beings, and our brains are wired to seek connection and interaction. So, when someone withdraws from social situations, it disrupts the natural flow of communication and can trigger negative perceptions. Others may assume there's something wrong or that you're deliberately avoiding them, leading to misunderstandings and strained relationships. If you find yourself withdrawing frequently, consider opening up to trusted friends or loved ones about your feelings and preferences. Let them know that your withdrawal isn't a reflection of them, but rather a coping mechanism you use in certain situations. By creating open dialogue, you can bridge the gap of misunderstanding and cultivate deeper connections based on mutual understanding and acceptance. 8. Expressing emotions rarely. Have you ever felt like you're speaking a different language when it comes to emotions? Maybe you find it hard to express how you feel, or perhaps you prefer to keep your emotions tucked away. Well, guess what? This can be a major reason why people often misunderstand you. From a psychological perspective, emotions serve as vital signals in social interactions, helping us convey our needs, desires, and intentions. When we smile, cry, or show anger, we're communicating something important about how we're feeling or what we need from others. But when we withhold these signals, it's easy for other people to misunderstand us. The first step is acknowledging that expressing emotions doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Start by practicing emotional awareness. Tune in to how you're feeling and give yourself permission to express those feelings authentically. It could be as simple as saying, "I'm feeling overwhelmed right now," or "I'm excited about this opportunity." 7. You never initiate conversations. Think about it. If you're always the one waiting for others to approach you, it sends a signal that you're not fully committed to the connection or association. People might misinterpret your indifference as arrogance or a loss of interest, when in reality you're just hesitant to make the first move. Research shows that social interaction is crucial for mental well-being. Initiating conversations not only nurtures connections, but also boosts mood and self-esteem. By holding back, you not only risk being misunderstood, but also miss out on valuable opportunities for connection and personal growth. Step out of your comfort zone and start initiating conversations. It doesn't have to be daunting. A simple hello or a genuine compliment can go a long way. Challenge yourself to initiate conversations with at least one person each day. 6. Reacting without second thoughts. Ever found yourself in a situation where your immediate reaction led to misunderstandings? It happens to the best of us. Our brains are wired for quick responses, thanks to the amygdala, the brain's emotional center. When faced with stimuli, the amygdala kicks into action, triggering rapid reactions before the logical part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, has a chance to assess the situation. Reacting without pause can give off the impression of impulsiveness or insensitivity, even if your intentions are pure. When someone reacts excessively, it's like trying to follow a conversation in a crowded room. There's just too much noise to pick out the important bits. It can be hard to focus on the actual content of what you're saying when it's buried under layers of emotional reactions. By practicing mindfulness techniques, such as deep breathing or counting to 10 before responding, you can create a momentary pause between stimulus and reaction. This pause allows the prefrontal cortex to kick in, enabling you to choose a more thoughtful response rather than relying solely on instinct. 5. You rationalize everything. You know, it's funny how sometimes being totally rational can actually lead to misunderstandings. Picture this: you're calmly laying out your logic and making solid points, but somehow the message gets lost in translation. So what's the benefit? Well, here's the thing: when you're being all logical and rational, it's like speaking a different language to some people. They might interpret your straightforwardness as coldness or dismissiveness. It's like you're speaking in code, but they're not quite picking up the signal. The problem is that not everyone operates on the same wavelength of reason and logic. Some people are more tuned into emotions and vibes. So when you're laying out your perfectly reasoned argument, they might miss the underlying empathy or connection. So next time you find yourself in a rational versus emotional showdown, try adding a sprinkle of empathy to your logic. It might just be the secret sauce to avoid those pesky misunderstandings. 4. Getting overly defensive. Defensiveness is like a shield that, instead of protecting, repels others, showcasing immaturity and a lack of understanding. The tendency to become defensive without a valid reason is often a major turn-off for most people. It's like trying to talk to a brick wall. There's just no getting through. And when someone shuts down like that, it kills the vibe of the conversation. It's hard to connect with someone who's not open to listening or understanding. When you're in defensive mode, you might catch yourself dodging blame, throwing out excuses, or even getting a little too fired up over some feedback. It's like your inner kid's having a tantrum, and that's something people might misunderstand. Recognizing when our inner child feels threatened is the first step toward breaking free from the defensive cycle. By pausing, taking a deep breath, and consciously choosing a more adaptive response, we can navigate conflicts with maturity and understanding. 3. Doing right instead of better. Doing right is all about sticking to the rules, following the guidelines and checking all the boxes. It's like playing by the book, doing what's expected of you and not rocking the boat. On the other hand, doing better is about going above and beyond, pushing the boundaries and striving for excellence. It's like aiming for the stars, even if it means taking a few risks along the way. When we prioritize doing right over doing better, it can lead to misunderstandings because others may perceive our actions as rigid or inflexible. They might see us as unwilling to adapt or consider alternative perspectives, which can create friction in our relationships and interactions. Similarly, when we're overly focused on appearing good rather than actually doing what's best, people may misinterpret our intentions. They might perceive us as insincere or lacking in authenticity, which can erode trust and credibility over time. 2. Need for validation. The need for validation is not such a bad thing, but the problem arises when this need for external validation becomes excessive or overwhelming. You might find yourself constantly seeking approval from others, basing your self-worth on their opinions, or going to great lengths to please everyone around you. The irony is that the more you seek validation, the more misunderstood you might become. When you rely too heavily on external validation, you may sacrifice authenticity in favor of conformity. You might suppress your true thoughts and feelings, afraid of rocking the boat or disappointing others. As a result, people may perceive you as indecisive, insincere, or lacking in practice self-awareness and self-compassion, acknowledging your strengths and accepting your imperfections. Seek validation from within, focusing on your values, goals, and intrinsic motivations rather than external praise. 1. You overexplain yourself. Here comes the hero of the video. If you want to make sure you get misunderstood all the time, do this one thing: over-explain. Do you find yourself repeating the same point in different ways or providing unnecessary background information? Are you met with blank stares or polite nods during conversations? These could be signs that you're over-explaining. When you over-explain, you risk diluting the clarity of your message. Your listeners may become lost in the details or lose interest altogether. Instead of enhancing understanding, excessive explanations can create ambiguity and frustration, leaving others scratching their heads rather than nodding in agreement. Focus on conveying your message clearly and concisely, using only the essential information needed to convey your point. Practice active listening to gauge your audience's understanding and be prepared to adjust your communication style accordingly. Remember, less is often more when it comes to effective communication. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.